Hi, welcome to Tech Ranch, a place where we learn and earn technical skills in the most efficient way. Let's make coding fun. Practice project ideas. Tower of Hanoi. Today we are going to present you a live demonstration of Tower of Hanoi puzzle with interactive Java Swing graphical user interface application. Before we get into the demonstration, let's take a look what is actually a Tower of Hanoi. Tower of Hanoi is a mathematical puzzle where we have 3 rods and n disks. The objective of this puzzle is to move the entire stack to another rod, obeying the following simple rules. Number 1, only one disk can be moved at a time. And number 2, each move consists of taking the upper disk from one of the stacks and placing it on top of another stack. That is, a disk can only be moved if it is the uppermost disk on a stack. And number 3, no disk may be placed on top of a smaller disk. So that's what the stack concept is following. That is what last in, first out. So as you can see, we have seen the 3 rods and n disks. There are 4 disks and number of disks, and we are moving the disks from one rod to another, and we are swapping kind of thing, and show you how we can make this kind of puzzle implemented in Java. So before we get into the graphical user interface, first we have to understand how we can implement this. There are so many ways to implement a simple stack concept, and this is one of the way we can try it out in the Tower of Hanoi. Here I'm presenting you this algorithm is basically helping to implement in the most simplest way, which is using the recursion. So you can see we have created a method and we have arguments, and this argument is like n number of disks and the source from one rod or one just pretending a rod, and aux and the destination. Aux means your current rod. Now when n is equals to 1, and then its source move to destination and then return, and then again this method is recalling itself and by n minus 1 because one disk is already moved. So this is how it is implemented in a simple without graphical user interface implementation. It's just that the logic, how we can implement the stack and moving one disk from one rod to another, the source rod to another, or destination rod. For Tower of Hanoi using Java Swing graphical user interface API, we need a board. That is what we have created with JFrame in Swing. And then we have J menu bar where we are going to have menus like new game, exit game, and score if you want to add and help and exit. Disk, we need to create a disk. So action listener method, because we are going to have interaction with the user. So we need to implement and override the action listener method. Tower method will contain is basically a constructor. We are going to have a class of tower, and it's have a constructor which contains all required action listener methods and performed method and other activity what we need to do in the game. Now mouse click, mouse release, mouse drag, these are very important because in this game the user is going to drag these disks from one rod to another rod. So there you need to put the mouse input. So for mouse input, you need to implement and override these methods. This will give the processor to understand that input is going to be happen and be active with the mouse input. Draw tower, current tower, and alert box, message box will help you to guide the user if it is not in a right move, to alert it that it is not correct move, to understand the puzzle. It's really interesting. Now let's take a look at the demonstration. So this is how it's gonna be. Now let's take a look at the source. So this is my Eclipse IDE, and first we have a Tower of Hanoi application, a project, Java project. Inside that we have a Java package. And inside the package Tower Hanoi game, we have the classes. Now first thing we need to see how it execute when there is no graphical user interface. It's a simple Java code, and if you see it, with the help of the recursion, we have implemented this concept where we are asking, we are creating a method solve Tower of Hanoi, and here we putting the condition until it is not 1, asking for getting the argument from the method definition, and calling it in a main, and inside the main we are asking user to enter the number of disks, and that's what we are doing here. If I put A, this is the solution of in case if you have 4 disks in a rod and you need to move the disk from one rod to another. Now we can name it with this, and arguments will be there, and this is how this is implementing, and it's implemented in recursion. Now let's take a look at the graphical user interface. So we have 2 classes, tower classes and run game. So as you can see, in run game we have all the concept and logic behind it, that number of disks you need to put, and based on that you need to have the menus, and best time, the options, action listener, menu bar, resizable. Once this is done, you can see the tower code. Here what we are doing is just that giving the colors of the disk. You can see it is the initial stage of the Tower of Hanoi, and here mouse released method, where we are mentioning if you are in a wrong move, it will give you the message box option pane. So here this is how it's implementing. Let's take a look at the execution. So this is the execution. Here you can ask new game, and inside the new game it will ask you for the number of disks. Suppose I gave 4 or I gave 3 just for the basic. So I put 1 disk to another rod. This disk goes to this rod. Now I need to transfer all the rods, all the disk into the destination, this rod. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to put the blue here and then yellow here, and then blue goes to this one, and so this was the wrong move, as you can see. Okay, so what we can do, we can put here this one, and red goes here, blue goes here, yellow goes here. Now blue goes here, red goes on top of yellow and blue, and this is solved. So this is how you can implement the Tower of Hanoi using graphical user interface API. To improvise this, you can have more stuff added in it, like timer or score or many other way, make it in online and understand the concept. So if you see the number of games, you can have more. Okay, so this is how the execution of Tower of Hanoi. So we have seen the live demonstration of Tower of Hanoi implementation using Java Swing Graphical User Interface API. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe and stay tuned for more upcoming interesting projects. For more assistance and source code or any questions, please contact techranch2019@gmail.com. Let's make coding fun. Thank you.